answer. Must have put the colors in my life. Refreshing and nice, and I drink that we like. Must stand you full of vibes, living for the color. I know black and white, we do what we like. We live to enjoy life. Just stop, pour it up, different flavor. Load it up. If you have one, hold it up and say, must have put the colors in my life.
Decided what to eat yet, hon?
Yep, almost.
If only this was easy like when we switched to Flow.
Best decision ever. Combining our mobile with Flow Internet
Saving hundreds each month on our mobile.
and getting double data to share for up to 4 lines. My ideas are the best.
Any idea when you'll make this decision?
Yeah, soon. Switch to Flow Postpaid and sign up for internet for big mobile savings and double data as low as $80 per line. Visit discoverflow.co for details. Conditions apply.
Buying your medication is easy with City Drug Store's curbside pickup. WhatsApp our certified pharmacist at 662-8769 with your requests. For prescriptions, take a clear photograph and send for review. We will engage you in dialogue and then provide a quotation and link for payment. You can then pay via TDC's online payment portal. And once the transaction is complete, you'll be notified that your pickup is ready. Yes, it's that easy. Send your WhatsApp message to 662-8769 to order your medications today with City Drug Store's curbside pickup service.
Good morning and welcome to Voices here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of Voices on WinFM 98.9. Today is Wednesday, March 30th, 2022. It's about 8 minutes past the hour of 11 and we are about to start Voices for today. Let me say thank you so much for joining me. Remember, we're live on the internet, on Facebook at Win Media SKN. We're also live on YouTube, and you can also check out our Instagram and Twitter accounts. Of course, these are some of the ways that you can stay connected with us here at WinFM 98.9. It is definitely a pleasure to be back here to interact with you, the good listeners of Win FM. Of course, you can share the Facebook Live, share the YouTube Live, and just log on and have a good conversation here on Voices for today. Of course, I give out the numbers early, which 466-0989 and 762-0989. Those are the numbers you can call if you wish to participate in today's edition of Voices. And our WhatsApp number is 662-2204. That is 662-2204. right, welcome to Voices here on 1FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. It's a pleasure to be back here on Wednesday talking and interacting with you, the good listeners of 1FM 98.9. So we're going to head right into the discussion. Of course, in the news and making the headlines, of course, continues to be the disagreement ongoing within the Team Unity Coalition. And I know some may say, well, you know, we've been talking politics now for the past week or more, maybe 2 weeks. But this is what is happening. This is in the news. And I must say it is hard for you to ignore this. It is hard for you to not talk about it because for the most part, I think many of you would take the position that it is worrying, it is concerning. And I want to engage you, the listeners of 1FM 98.9, on these developments. And of course, there have been new developments, about this disagreement going on right now within the Team Unity Coalition. Of course, there was a town hall meeting, I believe. Yes, a town hall meeting on Tuesday. I'm not sure of the exact location, but it was for the constituency of number 4, which is currently represented by the Honorable Lindsey Grant, and there was an interview on a radio station in Antigua, and of course there was an interview on The Narrative in Grenada concerning, all that is going on now within Team Unity. So this matter is seemingly not going away. It's not going away. Everywhere you turn, every conversation you have, or every conversation you hear on the road, it is about what is happening with Team Unity and the continued disagreement. The statements that are being made by key partners within Team Unity. I think right now the spotlight is on the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Sean Richards, regarding some comments he made recently, of course, at the PAM Town Hall meeting, and of course on radio and on the interview with The Narrative. And so he has really been, in the spotlight in terms of the ongoing disagreement or the back and forth within the Team Unity partners. And of course, people continue to weigh in on this issue. People continue to give their take on this issue. And, it's always good for us to listen to all sides of what's happening here for us to get a full and a better understanding of what really is transpiring. Some have taken the position that this is worrying, this is concerning, and how is this affecting the governance of the country? Those are some of the questions that have been raised, which are, one must admit, legitimate and an important question or important questions for us to ask as concerned the citizens of this country. But what's going on, I don't want to say it is unprecedented, but I would say for the most part, not many people expected it to be as at the level where it is right now. Of course, we know in politics, and of course, when you have a coalition government, everything is not going to be as good as one may perceive it to be, as one may want it to be, or as the coalition partners, everybody would want it to be. But I think many of you would perhaps take the position that you never expected it to be like this, at the level where it is at right now. And of course, with the statements made by the key partners within Team Unity. Very, very shocking, I would say. And it is a matter for us, regardless of our whether we support PAM or Labour or whoever, regardless of who we support, it is a matter for us to be concerned about. It's a matter for us to follow closely to see what is happening on that. So there was an interview on The Narrative, which was aired today, Wednesday, March 30th, with the Deputy Prime Minister speaking further on some of the disagreements that they have had within Team Unity. And a number of, I would say, breaking news, a number of announcements came out of that interview, which he had with Callistra Faria of the Narrative out of Grenada. And among some of the statements that were made was the revelation that he has not been participating in cabinet meetings for the past 2 months, which I think is was shocking. I really, of course, we heard some rumors going around that cabinet has not been as active as it should be. We heard that cabinet has not been meeting. We heard that some members have not been attending cabinet, but today the Deputy Prime Minister confirmed that he has been absent from cabinet for the past 2 months, which I think is concerning. Anybody would think that is concerning, that you have a government minister who has not been participating in cabinet for the past 2 months. Of course, he did not give a specific or detailed reason as to why, but he hinted that there is a reasoning behind him not attending cabinet and not participating in cabinet meetings. Coming out of that interview as well, he spoke about requesting to meet with the Prime Minister, that he sent a letter to the office of the Prime Minister requesting to have a meeting with him. And this is not just a meeting with him and the Prime Minister, but with all of them, with the Prime Minister, Richards as the Deputy Prime Minister, and the Honourable Mark Brantley as the Premier of Nevis. So in other words, a meeting for the partners of the Team Unity Administration or Coalition, the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, and the Premier of Nevis, to see if they can get this issue resolved and to see what they can do to tone it down a bit based on what has been happening. So according to Richards, he has written to the office of the Prime Minister, and he's hoping to get a response in terms of having a joint meeting between the three of them to discuss the developments. I can say that perhaps will be, if it happens, that would be a very difficult meeting to have based on all that has been said publicly, coming out of PAM and PLP convention and by the Premier on his radio program. A lot has been said, and it, I think, would be a difficult task for them to have that meeting. But yes, so those are some of the statements that were made by the Deputy Prime Minister, that he has been absent from cabinet for the past 2 months, and that he has requested to meet with the Prime Minister along with the Premier of Nevis to discuss the challenges, the number of challenges that the Team Unity Coalition or administration currently face at this point in time, among other things. I have the clip for those of you who did not get an opportunity to listen to parts of the interview. I don't have the full interview, but I have some most of it, or half of it rather, of the interview there with the Deputy Prime Minister speaking on the developments within Team Unity. I'll play this clip now, and I want you guys to listen, and then after that we're going to come back and we're going to have a conversation on it. And of course the phone lines will be open for you to give your take on this ongoing disagreement within the partners or within Team Unity. So you guys have a listen. The phone lines are not, I noticed there are some calls coming in. I'm not taking any calls right now. Let me play this clip for you so you guys can listen to this and give me your take when we come back.
Welcome back to The Narrative. I'm your storyteller, Callistra Farrier, continuing our discussion on what's happening in St. Kitts and Nevis, the coalition in some difficulty, and looking at the way forward and what is the future of the coalition, Team Unity. Here to talk to us about the situation is Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards, who is also the leader of the People's Action Movement, one of the three-member coalition. Welcome to the program, sir.
Hi, good day, and thanks for having me on the program today.
Well, it seems as if you may be heading to early elections in your barely less than 2 years into your second term. Team Unity, it appears to be in some distress. And what are the issues that are creating the problems?
A number of issues is creating the problems within Team Unity. We have spoken publicly to some of the issues. When Team Unity was formed prior to the elections of 2015, we outlined a number of promises, not only to the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, but amongst the three parties forming Team Unity, which PLP, the People's Labour Party, PAM, the People's Action Movement, and CCM, the Concerned Citizens Movement in Nevis. Some of the agreements that we spoke to include a fair share for all. And fair share for all wasn't just about the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, but in terms also of sharing the resources between St. Kitts and Nevis. It is strongly felt that hasn't taken place. The Premier of Nevis has indicated that Nevis hasn't been receiving its fair share of the proceeds from the Citizenship by Investment program. So that has been a concern. He has written to the Prime Minister several times on that particular issue. Of course, we also have the fact that when we signed the agreement spoke to 2 terms for anyone being the Prime Minister. We actually had went to Parliament with legislation on this particular issue. However, to effect the change, we required that 2/3 of the member of Parliament to vote for it. At that particular point in time, the Labour Party did not support that particular piece of legislation, and as a result of that, the legislation wasn't passed. However, from all indications, it doesn't appear as though the Prime Minister, who is now on to his second term, intends to honor that particular agreement. We also have concerns coming from different MPs in different constituencies as to how resources are shared. There are concerns, for example, that constituency number 7 in particular appears to be receiving more benefits than anyone else within the Team Unity coalition government. That has become a concern. One of the concerns relative to that, which I would have raised recently, is that we received a donation of 15 houses from Venezuela. All 15 houses were built in the constituency of the Prime Minister. It is important to point out that these are free houses in that the persons occupying the houses do not have to pay anything for them. They came after we would have experienced a hurricane some years ago. And if one is to look at the hurricane, of course, the hurricane would have affected persons in all of the different constituencies. Hence, to put it in a nutshell, there is a number of different concerns in terms of keeping the promise, and we are not satisfied that the promise is being kept.
So at this point, broken trust seems to be at the heart of the problem. Can the coalition move forward with that kind of environment, that lack of trust?
That is one that I have been constantly hearing from persons whether or not the coalition cannot move forward in that there is a lack of trust. Efforts are being made to have some heart-to-heart conversations to see whether or not those particular issues can be resolved. But to date, I cannot say that those conversations have borne any fruits in terms of resolving the issues within the Team Unity administration.
And I understand that you intend to meet again, possibly this week, with Prime Minister Harris to discuss the issues and to try to bring some sort of satisfactory resolution for all parties involved. Will that happen this week?
What I can say to you is that a letter was submitted to the office of the Prime Minister yesterday requesting a joint meeting amongst the three leaders of the Team Unity coalition partners. To date, I have not received any response from the Prime Minister relative to that particular request. I must admit that last night the Prime Minister sent me a message requesting a meeting, and I said to the Prime Minister that a letter has been submitted to his office requesting a joint meeting. The Prime Minister has not responded to my message, and as I said, he also hasn't responded to the letter requesting a meeting.
Tend to give the Prime Minister an ultimatum. Agree to fulfill the promises to ourselves and to the people, or step down. Can we see that on the cards?
We intend to have a frank discussion with the Prime Minister as to what the issues are and try our best to see if those particular issues can be resolved. If at the end of the day we feel that the issues cannot be resolved, then of course we have to look at the other options which are available to us.
And those options include calling elections. Let's explore some of those options that are possible.
I will certainly say that all of the options are on the table at this point in time.
So what happens should the Prime Minister continue to ignore your concerns and there is no solution? Constituencies continue to not get what they say is their fair share. Nevis does not get access to the social programs and the employment programs that the government has, or the CBI funds that they were expecting. The Prime Minister does not come out and definitively say, I will not seek a third term should the coalition return to government for a third term. If none of this happens, what happens next?
If none of this happens, then it means that we have to take more drastic and serious action to indicate to the Prime Minister that the status quo cannot continue. And maybe part of it, as you are suggesting, would be to go back to the polls to get a mandate from the people.
How has all of this impacted on governance, on Team Unity's ability to run the country and govern? How has it hurt the situation?
I think thus far the country is still being governed. One would recognize that the Team Unity administration has been in government for some 7 years now. Throughout that 7 years, I think for the most part, and persons are asking the question, why have we remained quiet for so long? However, it is that you try to work out things internally. You try to see as best as possible how you can get issues resolved in the best interest of the people of the country, because there is that general recognition that you are there to serve not yourself but to serve the people. However, in giving that service to the people, you have to ensure that each individual, regardless of which political party that individual has supported, is getting his full share of the economic pie of St. Kitts and Nevis. You have to ensure that persons are getting an opportunity to develop themselves and that you are able to empower all persons. We know that can become difficult within a coalition involving two political parties, never mind having three political parties involved. What we have, however, tried to do over the years is to see as best as possible how, in terms of our political philosophies from the three political parties, we're able to put them aside, how we are able, in the best interest of all persons, to compromise and to do what is in the best interest of all persons. However, it has now reached to a stage where we have determined that the public ought to know what is happening, because it is the public that we ultimately serve.
Your party, the People's Action Movement, can it survive if this situation is prolonged? Can it survive this experience?
The People's Action Movement is celebrating 57 years this year. Hence, the People's Action Movement as a political entity has been through the rough, and it has been through bad times, it has been through good times, and the People's Action Movement is here and here to stay. We remain a political party. We have the largest number of seats within the coalition, and of course the People's Action Movement will survive as a political entity.
With the largest amount of seats within the coalition, that would seem to translate into the greatest power. Why has it been so difficult to get the Prime Minister to make good on the agreements that were reached before the coalition entered the government?
I think we need to recognize, and it is a debate which has happened in several of the Caribbean countries, that is the power of having that title of Prime Minister and certain portfolios which have been accorded to the Prime Minister. The constitution within so many of these Caribbean islands gives the Prime Minister an enormous amount of power that one is able to exercise. Part of it really comes about by having some pieces of legislation in place that would fetter the power of the Prime Minister. But taking into consideration what I said when I began in terms of a team unity administration and certain agreements being made from the start, a lot of it really comes from the heart. It comes from the character of the person in terms of doing what you know is right, doing what is in the best interest of all of the persons. Hence, without having to, as a party, sort of hinder the Prime Minister from functioning, one has given him that respect, one has allowed him to function, and we have had conversations with him before as to what some of the concerns are. And so in good faith, you give him the opportunity to make changes. However, those changes have been long in coming, and so at this particular point in time, we are speaking to the people about the many concerns that we have seen.
During all of this conversations with the Prime Minister to address the areas of concern, what has his response been throughout all of this? How has he engaged in this affair?
I don't think that the Prime Minister has necessarily engaged in this affair. I said to you earlier that it is only last night that he reached out in terms of requesting a meeting. Most of what you're now hearing would have come to the fore, would have come to the public at the convention of the People's Action Movement, which was held on the 13th of this month, the 13th of March. Hence, you are looking at some 2 weeks later in terms of the Prime Minister himself attempting to reach out to discuss some of these issues. I can say the same thing relative to the Premier of Nevis, in that it's only yesterday he also reached out to the Premier of Nevis, saying to him that he wants to have a meeting with him during the course of this week. That, of course, is troubling. When you look at leadership and you take everything into account, if you are the leader of an organization and you recognize that the persons within the organizations are stating that they have issues in terms of your leadership, you would think that immediately you would attempt to meet with those critical persons who make up the organization, because without those persons, of course, the management, the direction of the organization is going to become extremely difficult. So you want to ensure that within the least possible amount of time, you make an attempt to find out what the issues are, how can we go about resolving these issues, and you have that constant communication amongst persons to monitor to see where things are going to ensure that indeed there is improvement in the best interest of the organization.
And it appears that Prime Minister Harris is seeking to meet separately with the coalition partners. You've requested a joint meeting, but you're saying that he's reached out to you to request a meeting and reached out to Mark Brantley of the Concerned Citizens Movement to have a meeting with him. It appears he's not trying to meet as a group.
That appears to be the intent, but my response to the Prime Minister has been that a joint meeting has been requested, and that is what is expected.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Shopping with TDC just got much easier. Here's how. Log on to shoptdcgroup.com. Shop at your convenience at any time, from anywhere, with your smartphone, tablet, or computer. With our safe and secure payment checkout, you choose the option to pick up in-store or have your goods delivered right to your door. It's that easy. Shop tdcgroup.com, your one-stop online store.
Shop anytime, same quality you love. Now online. Shop www.shoptdcgroup.com.
Everything you want, everything you need, got the taste you love, anywhere that you may be, is the Caribbean flavor. Shirley biscuits make me happy.
Shirley got it all about the flavor. Shirley never let me down. And I lime it at the beach on the town. Shirley biscuits always feel like home.
Everything you want, everything you need, got the taste you love, anywhere that you may be, is the Caribbean flavor. Shirley biscuits make me happy.
Shirley, the Caribbean's favorite biscuit.
Decided what to eat yet, hon?
Yep, almost.
If only this was easy like when we switched to Flow.
Best decision ever. Combining our mobile with Flow Internet
Saving hundreds each month on our mobile.
and getting double data to share for up to 4 lines. My ideas are the best.
Any idea when you'll make this decision?
Yeah, soon. Switch to Flow Postpaid and sign up for internet for big mobile savings and double data as low as $80 per line. Visit discoverflow.co for details. Conditions apply.
To the best of my knowledge, the cabinet has been functioning, and I said to the best of my knowledge, because I personally have not been to cabinet in about 2 months now, but that is a totally different issue. It is a principled position as to why I have not been attending cabinet, and perhaps it will take a totally different issue interview to go through that particular issue. It is something I, to date, for different reasons, I have not discussed within the public domain, because I have had some meetings in which I have basically agreed to a particular resolution on this matter. Unfortunately, the matter hasn't been resolved, and so I have not been going to cabinet.
Is it related to the current barrage of concerns that the coalition has with the Prime Minister?
I wouldn't say that it is related to the barrage of concerns that the coalition currently has with the Prime Minister, but it is a matter that I stand on a principle relative to. It is a matter which involves my name. It is a matter which involves matter. I have said that the only person who really can defend my name is myself, and until I feel like my name has been cleared relative to a particular issue, that is the stance that I have taken.
And at what point will you be satisfied that your name is cleared? And are you able to say what this matter is? Because it may be known to to others, but I am actually not up to speed on what that particular issue is. So are we breaking news here on my program, or is it already out there?
You're almost asking me to do an interview, and as on that matter, and as I've said, it is not a matter that I've discussed publicly, so I don't intend to discuss it publicly as yet. I am actually in the process of sending a letter to the competent persons who have a responsibility for this matter, and if it is that upon sending the letter, I am not satisfied that the efforts are being taken to resolve the issue, then I think I will have to go public on the matter.
Okay, so you've been out of cabinet for the last 2 months in some sort of a protest. It's a protest action.
Yes, I have been.
Okay, so
yes, it is.
So can I ask you this? Who exactly are you protesting against? Or do we need a separate interview for that one?
As I said, I prefer not to get into the issue at this particular point in time. Let me submit the letter. Let me see what action is taken, and depending on the outcome, I promise you that if the outcome isn't satisfactory.
All right, that was just Sean Richards in an interview with Khalid Shafaria on The Narrative. We're going to open the phone lines and we're going to take some calls. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Please call us back at 466-0989. Let's take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on Voices.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm great, thanks. And you?
Oh, so far so good. It could be worse. Always could be better too.
All right, yeah.
I was just listening to that interview, but it's interesting. I'm wondering to myself, where was Sean and the PAM party all these times when the things that he complains about was happening? He was sleeping? He was taking a nap? You want to tell me, in good faith, that it was promised, that was the last promise he mentioned concerning the Prime Minister, that he was promised that he would have had 2 terms and then he would have handed over to somebody else. But what about all the other promises in between? So the confusion only comes between them after he find out that the promise looked like for him to be Prime Minister would be broken. The promise in between to serve each constituency equally, that did not shake him. He did not budge, even though he see at this moment that if you take a drive to the Prime Minister constituency, you will not believe that you're in St. Kitts, because the place is so developed, you can't believe that it's part of St. Kitts. Where were the representatives for the other constituency when this was happening? Then you reach to the stage where you have a general election. A 5-year term had complete. And you open your eyes, you say the Prime Minister is such a nice Prime Minister. And you wait until almost not even 2 years to say he's no good for you? Man, you just wake up out the engine room. I don't know what you were doing. You were fanning the boiler fire, but not for you. And for somebody else, you were sleeping. So to me, in my opinion, I feel like they shouldn't even bother come back to the public. If they know what is good for them, I think they should continue with the Prime Minister they have. And like he said, he's going to go and lay his card on the table. You can't lay card on the table when you have no card. He have no cards because he have not proven his workmanship for the people that give him the opportunity to serve. Compared to the Prime Minister who have served his people in the constituency, he cannot say what he have done for his people. Leader of the constituency of Kayan, you have potholes in Kayan. You have the same water problem issue that still exists. So we're there when these things were happening. And then you want to say you're coming back to the people? Well, what's the matter with these people? You give them a 5-year mandate. A 5-year mandate. And you come back crying like a little child, I want to be Prime Minister. Prime who? If you can't be Minister, you want to be Prime Minister? Thank you very much. I think I said enough. I don't know. These people make you tired. Tired.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. We're still taking your calls here on WinFM 98.9. You are listening to Voices, and I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Call us at 4660989, and we're heading back to the phone lines, and we're taking this call. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Good morning, Devon. How are they going?
It's going fine. What about yours?
Mine going good. God is still in control, you know. God is still in control. Now, before I jump into the fray, let me say thank you to two groups. Yesterday, the seniors, or we say old people, right? Nowadays, we say seniors and elderly. The old people and the disabled were invited to a function at the IT center. It had to do with getting aid or help in using your devices, because everybody now have phones. And it is difficult to get the old-time phone with the button, you know what I mean? So many persons who are elderly may get the phones, but they're not able to use them efficiently. And so this group, it is called Care, I think it's Care Services, owned by Markeisha Warner. And she organized it, and she got Flo to come in to the meeting, or whatever you want to call it, and to give information and help. They were giving one-on-one. There was a Mr. France, I don't remember his first name, and Miss Gishard. And, you know, they went person by person asking you, like, what problem you having with the phone.
All right, quickly, but we want to take some more calls.
So I want to say thanks to them for the effort that they made, and it was much appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the issue has to do with temperament. The difference between, say, Mr. Harris, Mr. Richards. The difference is temperament, you know. I listened to the last caller. You know, some people start war right away. The first sign they make war. And sometimes there's a delay is dangerous too, eh? So I pray that the Prime Minister would grant them the audience and maybe have people there to mediate, because no one wins in a war. Just like in Ukraine could have all the people trying to fight an army. No one wins in a war. I mean, they're getting the whole place mashed up. Now the Prime Minister is saying, well, he wants to negotiate about the same thing before the war starts. So no one wins in a war. And our country cannot have this lot of division and people jumping on side. I say all of them got to get together with mediators. What can be corrected should be corrected, because no one wins in a war. Let us say that what happened to a lot of the programs, if, for example, they have to go into election. The financial secretary has a lot of power. But a lot of the services that the ordinary man depends on having unity in power, you know. As simple as that. So it is in the best interest of the country, the ordinary people, that all people should put away their pride. Put away your pride and in humility get together. Where you're wrong, acknowledge you're wrong. Make efforts to correct it, not superficial efforts, because if it is just superficial, it will come up again. So today, Mr. Brantley and Mr. Richards and Mr. Harris, the country is depending on the three of you, not your party. The country is depending on both the three of you to use wisdom. Some of your members of your party may not be satisfied with what you do, because some people they love a brawl. They love a brawl and they love a war. And they could see from the last time we had a brawl, parties split up. Who were in thought they were confident. So it is up to the three party leaders. This is Sylvie Nenny telling y'all. Use wisdom. Use wisdom. What can be corrected should be corrected. Now, as the man said, Maybe if Mr. Richards were a little more aggressive. But he's not aggressive by nature, that's the problem. You know, so I call upon all parties, let me say it again, to do what you can in the best interest of the country, not your party. Not your party supporters, many who want blood. They want blood on all sides. They want to see some humiliated. That is not the issue. It's not a matter of humiliating the Prime Minister, humiliating Richards, or humiliating Mr. Brantley. Nobody win. In fact, the only person who stand to gain is the Labour Party. And everybody knows, all who pretended they don't know. You can't fight to go back to what you came from. That is like slavery, you know. That is like slavery. And like the children of Egypt, Moses brought them out. And what they do, as soon as things come hard, we want to go back to Egypt. You know what I mean? Every little thing they want to go back. And you know what God said? Oh, if you want to go back, take 40 years.
All right.
You will walk around till all of you over 20 gonna drop dead. So for the sake of the youth, only the youth went into the promised land in case some of you don't know. Anybody who was 40 years and over, Moses reared them out. Walk around. Since you want to go back, so all who want to go back, learn your Bible. All right then, have a good day. And thanks again to Flo and the Care Group, Care Services. God bless you.
All right, thank you, caller, so much for your contribution to this program. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to our sponsors, and when we come back, we will continue taking some calls here on Voices on WinFM 98.9. Stick and stay. We will be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9 Win FM.
Decided what to eat yet, hon?
Yep, almost.
If only this was easy like when we switched to Flow.
Best decision ever. Combining our mobile with Flow Internet.
Saving hundreds each month on our mobile.
And getting double data to share for up to 4 lines. My ideas are the best.
Any idea when you'll make this decision?
Yeah, soon. Switch to Flow Postpaid and sign up for internet for big mobile savings and double data as low as $80 per line. Visit discoverflow.co for details. Conditions apply.
TDC Financial Services, we're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you with them all. TDC Financial Services, we are strong. TDC Financial Services, this is where you belong.
TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Welcome back to Voices here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. We are still taking your calls. We have about 8 minutes left before we break for the headline news at 12, but we're still taking your calls. We want to hear your comments on the developments within Team Unity. These developments are happening really, really fast. I think they're coming, faster than we really expected, I must say. So, I want to hear your take on all that has transpired to date. Of course, coming out of the interview with the Deputy Prime Minister, revealing that he has requested a meeting with the Prime Minister and the Premier to seek to resolve this disagreement that they have right now. Will this meeting happen? We don't know. We just had a caller who's calling for it to happen to ensure that they're able to meet and have these challenges discussed, hoping for the best interest, and that this interest would be in the best interest of the country. Sorry, that is. But we are going to monitor and see what really comes out of all that is transpiring right now. We are 7 years in for Team Unity, so I would say most people are perhaps a bit surprised that all of this has happened. I think most of you are surprised that this has happened, but we're gonna see what is going to come out of this. Now, of course, there is this talk that a federal election is on the horizon, sooner than any of us could imagine. And based on the comments that were made, it strongly suggests that that may be an option. But while the leaders within Team Unity may see it necessary to get to that point where we have to go back to the polls, the question must also be asked: are the people of St. Kitts and Nevis ready to return to the polls after just 2 years? Because our last election was in June of 2020. That is the question that we have to also ask ourselves. Are the people of St. Kitts and Nevis ready to go back to the polls? Because I can tell you this much, based on the conversation that I have had with a number of people are weary politically. People are weary, and some are of the view that we need a vacation from all of this politics, because it could really get to you sometimes. Let's head back to the phone lines. We'll take this call. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Cornelius.
Good morning. How are you today?
Not bad. In light of what is going on with our government, in my opinion, they've gone beyond where they can repair whatever damage would have taken place. So in my opinion, I think in order to settle the smooth operation of the administration, it's for us to go back to the poll and let the people decide who they want to govern us for the next 5 years. I don't think we should be, as a people, be held up by a few persons or one person, the case may be, who have their ego, feel like, well, it's bigger than the business of the country. The country business should be first and foremost. So I think that the best thing for us to do is to go back to the poll and let us decide, who we want to govern us for the next 5 years. And stop all this rancor.
Right. Do you think it is something that the country wants before you go?
The country may not want it, but it's what is needed right now. It's what is needed. It's like a relationship with a man and a woman.
Right.
If the relationship is gone to a point where it's irreparable, it doesn't make sense to stick around. Put an end to it and move on. Move on with a smile.
All right. Well,
thank you very much, Mr. Cornelius.
And thank you so much for your contribution to this program. We're at the 12 o'clock hour. I think we can take just one more call before we break for the headline news. But caller, again, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. Just like the caller, many people are of the opinion that the country cannot continue like this. So all that has been going on, the statements made by the leaders within Team Unity, Based on those comments that have been made, many people are of the view that the country cannot continue like this, and some are calling for fresh elections. Yes, we're just 2 years in. The last time we had an election was June 5th, 2020. But let's see. Let's take this final call before we break for the headline news. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Yes, good morning. You just said something that you surprised and people surprised. Can I be honest? I am not surprised. I don't even see why anybody would be surprised. Because in the way how this thing is, when you have someone who gives the impression that now this is a unity party. It took 3 parties, right? And you have one person. And that oh God, I don't even want to get into it. But we have someone who feel like only because he get the impression, only because of me, some of y'all was elected, forgetting that he also needed that party supporters to get where he is today, and some of his members and his party. And you see, everybody get on their platform and they drop little word, and you think people ain't reading between the lines. I am not surprised one bit. I could remember years ago, I asked some questions, when they first got in. And let me tell you, some of the very people that used to say, oh, God bless my sister over there. When I ask questions, oh, they turn on me. I am not surprised because I saw it long time. You have a good day.
And you too have an awesome day. Guys, we'll take a break for the headline news, and when we come back, we will continue Voices right here on WinFM 98.9. Very interesting conversation we are having here on Voices. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius, but please stick and stay. We will be right back with some more voices on this topic, the developments within Team Unity and all that has been transpiring. People are calling for fresh elections. But part of the question is, are the people ready for the elections? But some are of the view that the country cannot continue like it is right now, where people are not sure if cabinet is happening. You don't know if the real issues are being looked after. Let's take this break and we'll be right back.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and National Bank.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International. By land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
With over a century of perfection behind the Magasin name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Magasin Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoyed the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Magasin. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Did you know that National Bank offers very favorable terms and low interest rate to switch your home mortgage? Our in-house legal department will process your mortgage in a jiffy and free of cost. Switch your home mortgage now and get a peace of mind knowing that we are here for you. National Bank, always here.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Till you walk with a local reputation and service for second to none.
469-5131 or 469-5303. Dealey Walwyn, people you can trust.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With the Win Headline News, I am Kevon Brown.
I am Devon Cornelius.
And I am Yulana Weeks.
Making the headlines, Deputy Prime Minister admits there is tension in Team Unity coalition. PAM dissatisfied with its state.
Additional COVID-19 death recorded in St. Kitts and Nevis. Health officials suggest that individuals remain vigilant.
Deputy Prime Minister Richards absent from cabinet for months.
St. Kitts Nevis to be represented in the 5th annual Miss International Elegance Mothers Pageant.
Civil society groups in Haiti petition for a state of emergency to be declared in the country to deal with crime, and more from Carib Update. Internationally, the United Nations says more than 4 million people have now fled Ukraine. This has provided new opportunities for human traffickers to make the vulnerable their targets. Now, the details. Leader of the People's Action Movement, PAM, Deputy Prime Minister the Honourable Sean Richards, whose party holds 4 out of 11 seats in St. Kitts and Nevis, says PAM is dissatisfied with its current state of affairs within the Team Unity coalition.
I think it has become very clear to all persons who have been observing and listening that the state of the coalition it cannot be described as being the best at this particular point in time,
said Minister Richards during an interview with Darren Matthew Ward of Observer AM in Antigua and Barbuda. The other coalition members include the People's Labour Party, which holds 2 seats, and the Concerned Citizens Movement, which holds 3. More details on the issues of fair share and where the coalition stands in the evening newscast.
The number of COVID-19 confirmed deaths in St. Kitts and Nevis moved from 42 to 43 on Monday, March 28, 2022. Having gone 6 consecutive days without any confirmed active COVID-19 cases in the Federation, the COVID-19 report dated Sunday, March 27 showed a change in the information presented on the dashboard. 1 active case in St. Kitts. However, on the following day, Monday, March 28, the report showed no active cases and an additional COVID-19 death. Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, Medical Chief of Staff at the Joseph N. France General Hospital, confirmed the death, noting that an elderly female with pre-existing conditions passed away due to COVID-19 complications. In an interview with WinFM on March 23, Wilkinson said, while we in St. Kitts and Nevis are beginning to relieve ourselves from the stranglehold that COVID-19 had on every aspect of our lives, and the 4th wave appears to be behind us, the pandemic is not over. He added that with open borders and the Deltacron, Omicron, and their subvariants, which are still circulating globally, we can see positive cases. The health official reiterated his call for individuals to remain vigilant and continue the use of the non-pharmaceutical measures, such as sanitizing and the wearing of face masks. Since March 28, 2020, there have been a total of 5,549 confirmed COVID-19 cases in the Federation, the majority being recorded on the island of St. Kitts. 5,506 cases recovered, whilst 43 individuals passed away, 36 in St. Kitts and 7 in Nevis.
Deputy Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Honourable Sean Richards, confirmed that he has been absent from Cabinet for the past 2 months. Richards made that revelation on Wednesday, March 30th, when he appeared on The Narrative, hosted by Callistra Faria of Grenada.
To the best of my knowledge, the Cabinet has been functioning, and I said to the best of my knowledge, because I personally have not been to Cabinet in about 2 months now, but that is a totally different issue. It is a principled position as to why I have not been attending Cabinet.
Deputy Prime Minister Richards insists that his absence from Cabinet is not affecting the governance of the country. He said he is up to date with matters pertaining to his ministries and would from time to time receive calls from the Prime Minister asking to be briefed. His confirmation of absence from Cabinet follows questions raised by citizens of the country as well as St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party leader Dr. Terence Drew about the status of Cabinet amidst the ongoing disagreement between Prime Minister the Honourable Dr. Timothy Harris, Deputy Prime Minister Richards and Premier of Nevis the Honourable Mark Brantley. On March 21st, 2022, Dr. Drew told WinFM that he is concerned that the Cabinet may not be meeting regularly and called upon Prime Minister Harris to address the allegations. WinFM contacted Prime Minister Harris on March 22nd, who dismissed the allegations and said, quote, Cabinet has been very productive, end quote, and said Dr. Drew, quote, is very badly advised, end quote.
Miss Shikoma Green will be representing the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis in the 5th annual Miss International Elegance Mothers Pageant. The event is slated for May 28, 2022 at the Tropicana Ballroom in Simpson Bay, St. Martha. Green, an experienced preschool teacher, was born in St. Kitts on March 19, 1987 and has given birth to 2 children, as noted in her pageant profile. Describing herself as a 4 feet 8 inches firecracker, Green said one thing she always admired in life is the overwhelming, indescribable phenomena of God's entire creation, adding that she has grown to appreciate the vast diversity of people all over the world and take comfort in knowing that God never made a mistake. In addition, Green indicated that she and her family have been through some tumultuous times, but she continues to fight the good fight. She shared, quote, for the past few years, my family and I have fought and suffered through the darkest times ever. This dark time tried me over and over to want to give up. But thanks be to God, He has placed in me a passion that can't be stopped. This ordeal affected my children in a way I never meant for them to experience. But that's a sensitive situation. Since then, I've become a single mom fighting the good fight to mend, heal, and grow, end quote. She further expressed, once there is life, there is always hope, opportunities, and a restart button that never malfunctions. Having participated in pageants before, the pageant mom said this year's Miss International Elegance Mothers Pageant resonates at a higher level, where she gets the opportunity to reach the hearts of women, more so mothers, through pageantry. In a short inspirational message to mothers, she said, quote, I dare you. You have a fierceness in you, so tap into it. You are beautiful beyond measure, so celebrate yourself daily and love the skin you're in. You have a generation wrapped up inside you. Learn, teach, inspire, and aspire as much as you can, because only you can stop you.
In regional news, civil society groups in Haiti petition for a state of emergency to be declared in the country to deal with crime, and more from Carib Update.
Civil society groups in Haiti have sent a petition to Prime Minister Ariel Henry urging him to declare a state of emergency in the French-speaking CARICOM country to deal with the spate of criminal activities, including kidnapping. In their petition, the groups outlined a roadmap with recommendations for dealing with the situation. The groups have urged Mr. Henry to declare war on armed gangs who are causing widespread problems in the country, crack down on customs fraud to prevent the diversion of revenues, and impose control measures to eliminate the trafficking of arms and ammunition. The petition notes that cases of murder, kidnapping, rape, armed robbery and organized looting are countless, and businesses are forced to close. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Keith Rowley has called on Britain's Prince William to do more than just offer words of acknowledgement that his country had played a significant role in the slave trade and ensure a level of compensation to those who had their liberties taken away as a result of the Atlantic slave trade. Rowley, addressing the Spiritual Baptist Liberation Day organized by the ruling People's National Movement on Monday, said he was pleased to have heard Prince William acknowledge that slavery was wrong during his visit to the Caribbean last week. Rowley said it is not sufficient to say that I acknowledge this, but not to seek to help those who were harmed by it. Prince William, who was accompanied by his wife, the Duchess of Cambridge, to the region in celebration of Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee, said in Jamaica last Thursday that he strongly agrees with his father, the Prince of Wales, who said in Barbados last year that the appalling atrocity of slavery forever stains our history. I want to express my profound sorrow. Slavery was abhorrent, and it should never happen. But opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar seems to have a different perspective on the royals' visit to the Caribbean. Speaking at a United National Congress virtual meeting on Monday, Persad-Bissessar offered a different position. She believes that Trinidad and Tobago was deliberately left out of the royals' Caribbean tour because of the government.
When I was Prime Minister, at the time they were celebrating the Jubilee in that particular year, I don't recall the exact year, but we also had a visit from the royal family. On the world stage, we have become a non-player. We have become not important. And is it simply because we sold the Petrotrin refinery? No, it cannot be. It is because we have a Prime Minister who has no diplomatic skills.
We now bring you these international reports.
Since the start of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, women and children have fled by the millions. And increasingly, many of them have been targeted by human traffickers or become victims of exploitation. Luda Chromius is one of them.
People were coming to me offering help. That's how it looks anyway. They offer lifts to Poland.
When her home in Chernigov was attacked, Luda, along with her mother and grandmother, accepted an offer of accommodation. But they soon experienced the dangers so many like her have also faced.
I was in the kitchen, and he put a knife in my throat, and he started shouting and yelling. He started beating me on the face.
Ukraine requires men under the age of 60 to stay and fight. That's left their wives and children vulnerable to organized criminal gangs who are seizing the opportunity to hunt for women and girls they can force into slavery and prostitution. Due to the sheer number of refugees fleeing Ukraine, there are few formal procedures to register the women and children that are arriving here in Poland. Add to that is the problem of a language barrier. Those that don't know English or Polish are at even greater risk of exploitation. The aid that awaits refugees is abundant, but at reception centers, traffickers often wait in the shadows, hoping desperation will force some refugees to accept dangerous offers of assistance. Police have put up posters warning of the risks. Volunteers also try to be on the lookout.
We're just really looking out to make sure that there's not a creepy factor to it, right? Because you can see single men walking around hovering that shouldn't be there. We notified the police, the military. There's a lot of enforcement around to make sure that it's being taken care of.
In response to the refugee crisis, Poland's government has recently passed legislation increasing the penalties for human trafficking of children from 10 to 25 years. This United Nations migration coordinator says such risks should not deter refugees from escaping danger.
Definitely, refugees arriving need to be more aware about the risk without scaring them from coming here, because also we don't really need to create this kind of panic that this is dangerous, this is more dangerous than whatever you're fleeing on the other side.
Since Russia's invasion and at the peak, 98,000 refugees cross daily into Poland. Currently, only about 19,000 cross each day. But another influx is expected, and authorities are already preparing. Kimberly Halkett, Al Jazeera, Przemysl, Poland.
Pakistan will send more aid to Ukraine to help with the humanitarian crisis. In a phone call on Tuesday, Pakistani Prime Minister and Ukraine's President agreed on the urgent need for a ceasefire and a resolution to the conflict through diplomacy. But as Western pressure mounts against the Russian invasion of Ukraine, South Asia's political dynamics are changing. At the UN General Assembly, 35 countries abstained from voting against Russia, including Bangladesh, India and Sri Lanka. Just hours before Russia attacked Ukraine, Prime Minister Imran Khan was in Moscow, a visit scheduled months in advance, attracted both criticism and praise from opponents and supporters.
Mr. Prime Minister.
Pakistan wants to enhance bilateral ties, including building a pipeline to import Russian gas. While progress on that remains slow, President Vladimir Putin has signed a few other deals.
We are expanding our relationships, and it's always going to be a balancing act. I mean, China and America have their differences with each other, but they trade so intensely with each other. The quantums are absolutely mind-boggling.
Pakistan wants a bigger financial, diplomatic and strategic space in the region, but it also has a delicate balancing act between Russia and Western powers, as it needs both regional relevance and economic partnerships.
In recent weeks, the Prime Minister lashed out at EU diplomats, asking for public condemnation of Russia.
I ask these EU ambassadors if they wrote a similar letter to India. Our country's economy lost $100 billion. I ask, did you appreciate or acknowledge us? Are we your slaves that whatever you order we must comply?
For Pakistan, the recent US pullout from Afghanistan and China's economic diplomacy means its policies are no longer based on what the US prefers.
Pakistan has felt a lot of pressure from the Western countries vis-a-vis the UN Security Council. So having a permanent member of the UN Security Council batting for Pakistan at the UN Security Council is great. The Western countries themselves are choosing to move away from Pakistan. Nobody asked President Biden to not call the Pakistani leadership. Nobody forced Western countries to lean towards India.
But government leaders here say it's not a pivot from old alliances, and relations cannot be mutually exclusive. They want both ties with Russia and a diplomatic solution to the war in Ukraine. Osama bin Javed, Al Jazeera, Islamabad.
You were listening to the WinFM headline news on 98.9. Our top stories were: Deputy Prime Minister admits there is tension in Team Unity coalition. PAM dissatisfied with its state.
Additional COVID-19 death recorded in St. Kitts and Nevis. Health officials suggest that individuals remain vigilant.
Deputy Prime Minister Richards absent from cabinet for months.
St. Kitts Nevis to be represented in the 5th annual Miss International Elegance Mothers Pageant.
Civil society groups in Haiti petition for a state of emergency to be declared in the country to deal with crime, and more from Carib Update. Internationally, the United Nations says more than 4 million people have now fled Ukraine. This has provided new opportunities for human traffickers to make the vulnerable their targets. Thank you for listening.
That was the WinFM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and National Bank.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Daily walk with a low reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Delia Walwyn, people you can trust.
Stop standing in long ATM lines to withdraw cash. Use your national debit or black cards to complete a wide variety of transactions at supermarkets, variety stores, gas stations, pharmacies, and more. Shop online at the most popular websites and stores for quality brands using your national debit or black cards. And take back your time to enjoy all the things that you love to do. Remember, instead of waiting in long ATM lines to withdraw cash, use your national bank cards today.
National Bank, always here.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Market shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsford's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsford's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsford's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
Welcome back to Voices here on WinFM 98.9, and we are going to continue the second hour here of Voices. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius. We are talking on the developments within Team Unity, and of course the recent interview done by Deputy Prime Minister the Honourable Sean Richards on the narrative with Callistia Faria out of Grenada, where a number of statements were made as it relates to Team Unity. We're heading back to the phone lines and we're taking your calls for you to give your take on the current developments within Team unity. And of course, coming out of that, a number of things. The Deputy Prime Minister requesting to meet with the Prime Minister, saying that, the option of going to the polls is perhaps on the table if all of this is not settled. Of course, with Miss Faria asking the Deputy Prime Minister if, in a sense, with the Prime Minister having left the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party in 2013 or before, I believe, were you not surprised, or are you surprised by what is happening now, based on some of the allegations that were made that there was some misunderstanding or some confusion going on in the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party when he was a member? That's basically what they were trying to get at. So those were some of the things that they spoke about during this interview. And of course, him saying, he hasn't been part of cabinet for some time. And while, he did say that this is not really specific to Team Unity, but it's surrounding, all that has been happening with Team Unity for some time. So we have the second part of the interview here, and we're going to play this for you now. So have a listen, and we're going to head back to the phone lines, and we'll take your calls at 466-0989 and 762-0989. We'll have this clip right now.
How is the Team Unity responding to those two issues? The CBI program, one of your largest income revenue generators for St. Kitts and Nevis, and the issue of cost of living for your people.
If those are matters which are before the cabinet for discussion, and it is therefore evident that the cabinet is very much aware of those particular issues and looking at them to see how best we can navigate around those particular issues. With regards to the CBI program, it is a program that has been very helpful in terms of the economic development of St. Kitts and Nevis. And when I say economic development, of course, when you have economic development, first and foremost, you expect that the citizens of the country will benefit from any economic development. I think I can honestly say that that has been the case in terms of persons seeing the benefits. Therefore, whatever it is we can do to safeguard that particular program, which St. Kitts has had the benefit in the first country to introduce a citizenship by investment program. Therefore, we have been innovative in terms of the program. We now have to go back to the drawing board to see what other innovations, how else can we be creative in terms of maintaining the citizenship by investment program, especially since it is now coming under attack from the EU. I suppose that part of that conversation would also involve looking at our other economic circumstances to see how we can go about diversifying the economy to ensure that as best as possible we reduce any shocks which would come as a result of any reduction in the revenues coming from the citizenship by investment program. The cost of living matter is also before the cabinet for a full discussion to see how we can cushion the effects of the rising prices that we are seeing, whether coming out of the war between Ukraine and Russia, and some of the increases, such as the increase in oil prices, etc. We are also aware of the supply chain issues that are being experienced, which is also having a negative impact on the cost of living. So we are cognizant of those issues, and we are taking into account our own local situation to see how within the context of things in St. Kitts and Nevis, the government is able to cushion the effects of those. We do not have control over what is happening globally. But in terms of our own local policies, our own local legislations, our own local business community, and having the conversations with the business community, what fiscal policies the government can put in place, for example, to cushion those particular effects, we are studying those.
How are the people of St. Kitts and Nevis reacting to the upheaval within Team Unity?
The reaction coming from persons in St. Kitts and Nevis has been mixed. There are persons who would make the suggestion that perhaps it is that you need to sit down, work out the differences. There are those who are saying that perhaps it is time to bring this particular arrangement to an end. There are those who simply have not been saying anything, and so it's almost as if, well, they're not quite politically in tune to what is happening and they don't care. So you have several different reactions coming from different persons.
Should the coalition fall apart and elections are called, is PAM ready to go it alone with a full slate on its own again?
I have said it repeatedly within the public domain that if PAM has to contest an election on its own and run candidates in all of the constituencies, the People's Action Movement is more than willing to do so.
But are you prepared to do so? If you do not, you seem to be heading down a road where things may not work out. It's been 7 years, and you 7 years later, all of this is happening, and the Team Unity seems to be imploding on itself. The Prime Minister is not talking to you guys and does not appear to be trying to settle things. You can go to the polls. What are you preparing for that? Are you preparing your party to be able to do that?
One of the reasons why, of course, I would have made those public pronouncements is to prepare my party and to prepare the public for any particular eventuality. The party has an executive. The executive and the council of the party are responsible for making key decisions on behalf of the party. I will also add that Sean Richards has been an elected member of parliament since 2004 for some 17 years now. I have perhaps approximately 20 years in the politics, and so I'm not a novice when it comes to politics.
I'm sure. And so with all of this going on, and do you think that at some point when you meet with the Prime Minister, he can be convinced to give up on the idea of resisting giving up the Prime Ministership? Based on your interaction with him and your feel of things, can you get there? Because that seems to be one of the bigger issues that you guys are facing.
With God, all things are possible.
Given the history of Prime Minister Harris in the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, did you not see this coming?
I would not say that we saw it coming, but I would also add that, of course, you had the fact that he would have left the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. You had accusations being made relative to himself and then Prime Minister Dr. Douglas, and likewise Dr. Douglas would have made a number of accusations. We also had our own issues with Dr. Douglas and the direction in which the country was being taken. We strongly opposed to it, and the thinking of Dr. Harris at that point in time was in alignment with our own thinking relative to the direction in which the country was being taken. Therefore, we strongly, felt that in terms of Dr. Harris, that he genuinely was concerned about the direction of the country. He had experience being in the Labour government at the time. He would have held several different portfolios. So in terms of the runnings of a government, we felt pretty confident with him being the Prime Minister and being able to steer the ship of state. It is always said that hindsight is 20/20, and maybe one would ask the question, if I had to do it differently than now, what would I have done differently back in 2012, 2013, 14 when Team Unity was being put into effect? And maybe part of it would have involved reviewing the agreements that were made and try to see as best as possible how those particular agreements could have been strengthened. Be it as it is now, I don't have any regrets in terms of the political decisions that I made in 2015 or prior to 2015. I have said that part of my political journey, part of my political development has involved learning from other persons, be it opposition members or be it persons in government or within your own political party. And as such, I can honestly say that I have learned quite a lot from Dr. Harris. I have learned in terms of his style of leadership from both the good and the bad part of his leadership. Let me make it clear that there is no individual which is perfect, and so in that regards, Dr. Harris has not been perfect, but of course we are more concerned about some of the negatives that we are seeing as opposed to the
The Sound 99.9.
Horsewood's Building and Nevis Centers continues to make your lawn and gardening easy. Go to Horsewood's Building and Nevis Center now and get 25% off store-wide on the entire lawn and garden equipment. Yes, for the months of February and March, Horsewood's Building Center and Nevis Center is making improving your lawn and garden easy with 25% off garden supplies, garden equipment, garden accessories, including weed eaters, lawnmowers, and much more. Get 25% off all lawn and garden items happening now at Horsewood's Building Center in St. Kitts and Nevis. Horsewood's Building and Nevis Centers, making home improvement easy. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Welcome back to Voices here on WinFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Voices. So we are continuing the conversation this afternoon, and we're speaking on the developments coming out of Team Unity. Of course, the recent statements made by Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Sean Richards, on what has been transpiring within Team Unity. Of course, hinting that an election is possible. Hinting that an election is possible. So I guess the people of St. Kitts and Nevis have to ready themselves to go back to the polls. So very, very, very interesting. Of course, the Deputy Prime Minister said he has requested to meet with the Prime Minister, with the Premier as well. And they are hoping that they can mend all of this. Do you think it is possible to fix all of this mess that is going on? Because some things have been said, and you can't unsay, you can't take back some of these things, to be real with you. So how would this affect the governance of the country? How would this affect their relationship? Let's head to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon.
To answer your question, I don't think it can be fixed. The only thing that can, yes, it can be fixed. The only thing that can fix it is to go back to the poll. And here's why I say that too. Listening to that interview with the Honorable Sean K. Richards and learning that the Prime Minister tried to have a meeting with him, a one-on-one with him, and also have a one-on-one with the Honorable Mark Brantley, when they would have sent a letter requesting a joint meeting. To me, that is disingenuous. Some sinister plan the Honorable Prime Minister has up his sleeve. And if we are honorable people, if we believe in integrity, we must act with that level of integrity. We must be true to ourselves so that we can be true to our people and the people with whom we lead. We can't always feel like, we can outsmart people. Trying to say you're smarter than somebody doesn't mean that is something good. It could also be considered that you're a corrupt person. And one would have to be aware of you and stay far from you. So in my humble opinion, I don't see the relationship between them can be fixed by them.
Mm-hmm.
I believe anything to be fixed, is the electorate will fix it, not them.
If we are to go back to the polls, before you go, if we are to go back to the polls, what do you think the outcome of the election would be?
Well, based on what I'm hearing, that the PLP wants to run candidate in all of the constituencies on St. Kitts. If that happens, quite naturally the People's Action Movement will run candidate in all of the 8 constituencies. Now you have one pie to share among 3 persons. The reality on the ground would be that 2 persons will have to share half of that pie. And it simply means the other half will go to the other person. So this is what will happen. The half that will be shared among 2 will be shared among the People's Labour Party and the People's Action Movement. The second half will only be shared among the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. So in my view, with that scenario there, I see in the Labour Party winning all 8 seats. Even the Deputy Prime Minister and the Prime Minister will lose their seat because the Labour base remains. Simple maths. Simple maths, Mr. Cornelius.
All right.
But I still believe, though, if that happens, I still believe that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will join with someone, whether if it's the CCM who would have won their seat at Nevis, or the NRP, whichever the case may be. I believe that the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will join with them. However, I think we should go the route of Barbados. once you have a party taking all of the spoil, all of the seats, we try and amend our constitution where the Governor General can appoint 4 senators on the opposition benches to represent the opposition. And the 4 persons would be the persons who receive the second most amount of votes in the election. Okay? Have the authority to argue on points and even table concerns. By so doing, you can say that the legislature would be complete because you have persons on the opposition benches who can argue for or against when the government side want to table certain legislation that doesn't make sense or make sense, whatever the case may be. I think that's the route to go. I don't see nothing wrong with if a party win all 8 of the seats. I don't see nothing wrong with it. Let us put things in place.
All right.
So that we can go around it.
All right. Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. Thank you for your contribution to this program. We're still taking your calls here on Voices in FM 98.9. The phone lines are open. Call us at 466-0989 and 762-0989. We are on the topic of the developments within Team Unity, and we are continuing this conversation. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I hope you're all right today.
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. I guess people have they have drawn their own analysis as to what the outcome of the election will be.
Mm-hmm.
That is fair enough, but I mean, no, I don't know how many people are taking into consideration the electoral process, the electoral system. If there is no integrity to that process, anything can happen. Anything can happen. Because as they say, where there is a will, there is a way. And if anyone is desperate enough to remain in, it has nothing to do with the electorate, you know. That is now removed from the hands of the people. Because the people's will or the people's choice is now or will be tampered with. Has anyone considered that? I know when all is said and done, the first thing people saying, you know, they look at the results and they say, okay, well, the tree won again. The people voted the tree in again. But is that really so in all cases?
But as you're saying that even if the 3 were to win again, we don't know if they would join up to become a coalition government again.
No, I'm not talking about the coalition joining up right now.
Ah, okay, sorry.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the integrity of the process. Because if nothing has been done to make that electoral process, everything that involves in it, integrous, it can always be tampered with. Where there is a will, there is a way. And if someone is determined not to move, they will just use it to their advantage. And time has proven this to be the case in many places. So I don't think people are looking at that. I know at the end of it all, the result is the result. That's how some people look at it. Some people not analyzing all factors that are involved. I guess some people don't want to come up because the first thing they say, well, oh, this is a democracy. So it has to be. That is the leaf. All of the leaves, the majority of the leaves voted back for the tree. When it may not necessarily be so. When it may not necessarily be so. All right.
All right, caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. We're still taking your calls here on Voices on WinFM 98.9. Call us at 466-0989 and 762-0989. The callers are weighing in on on this Team Unity coalition situation right now. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You are on the air.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes, the lady who just speak here, she's powerful. She sounds always effective. She's very powerful. Yes, because you can't say Labour did it too. We want to move forward. Whatever treating this they had done in the past, they want to keep it up. Because last election before, the man take Labour people and Labour people and just dump the vote and do what they want. They try to even vote now and say they win now. So that's why this corruption happening now. So we have to do with all the treating thing and just give people fairly. Yeah, man, it's long.
All right, caller, thank you for your contribution to this program. We are continuing the conversation at 466-0989, 762-0989. People are weighing in on their take on this situation with Team Unity. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Moderator.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I'm listening to you.
You see that label, you see that trick of label train. Some years ago I said it and somebody called in and said I was chatting nonsense. And I'm going to say it again. You see label moving Dr. Douglas from leadership and giving it to Dr. Joe. Hello.
I'm listening to you, caller. Go ahead, talk.
Dr. Douglas moved from leadership and he giving it to Dr. Joe. That's a trick. I cited him, Pam, in the 80s, 70s. Billy Hobart couldn't win an election. He couldn't win an election. But I had him by each vote. So what Pam do? Move Billy Hobart. Put Dr. Simmons. And then when Pam win, who won the country? Not Dr. Simmons. Billy Hobart was the advisor for the government. He advised government. He won the country. Now Douglas trying to run the same trick. Putting Dr. Joe because people want Dr. Joe, people love Dr. Joe. So now he put in Dr. Joe. And then if the Labour Party win, Douglas going to run the government. You remember he said nobody smarter than him? He's the smartest. He bad from since he born. We're not going to forget all those things there. So this is the trick. Put Dr. Joe, because he will let people love Dr. Joe. So put Dr. Joe to be the leader and people go vote for Labour government. And then he can run the government. Thank you.
And thank you, caller, so much for your contribution to this program. It is 2 minutes past the hour of 1. We'll take a break to give a shout out to the sponsors. When we come back, we will continue Voices here at 1FM 98.9. Please stick and stay. We will be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Bust a move. Door busting savings happening now. Horsford's Automotive is busting loose. Huge door busting discount on all 2020 Nissan Urban 16-seater buses. Bust loose with as much as $25,000 off on all 2020 Nissan Urban 16-seaters. Yes, up to $25,000 off on all 2020 Nissan Urban 16-seater buses. But that's not all. Down payment busted. Absolutely no down payment. Payment on bill of sale. Busted. No payment on bill of sale. Payment on servicing for 12 months. Busted. Free servicing for 1 year. Buy groceries on gas for up to 3 months. Your choice. Busted. Your choice of absolutely free groceries or gas for 3 months. Payment on registration and licensing, tinting and accessories. All busted. That means they're totally free. Horsford Automotive is busting loose with its Bus a Move sales event on all 2020 Nissan Urban 16-seater buses. Bus a Move and get your new 2020 Nissan Urban 16-seater today for as much as $25,000 off. Bus a Move now at Horsford Automotive. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Welcome back to Voices here on 1FM 98.9. We're taking your calls. Call us at 466-0989. Let's take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
All right.
Yeah. You know, there are two ways out of this mess. Either the Prime Minister gives in to the demands of his coalition partners, or it's back to the polls. I don't see a middle ground. Okay? Can you see one?
I can't.
I can't.
Yeah.
Right? And even if the Prime Minister concedes, he will not be trusted again, and the deception will continue, the undermining will continue, up until whenever general elections are held.
Do you think, which one do you think the people would prefer? To go back to the polls? Or which one do you think would happen? To go back to the polls, or for him to meet some of the demands that have been made?
Well, if you look at the demands that are being made, I don't see, that's why I say I don't see a place where there can be a meeting of the minds, right? This is saying we want the fair share, and so he either give them their fair share or he doesn't. Otherwise, the griping and so on will continue. The Deputy Prime Minister is saying that, well, he basically made an agreement that he's next. Either he comes definitively out and say he's not running for a third term as Prime Minister, then, again, there's no middle ground. There's nothing to concede. Okay? And so I think the people themselves would, they're absolutely fed up with this. They have been practically deceived for a long time. This didn't just start, obviously. Okay? And people don't like to be fooled, you know. And when it's clear that they were being fooled all along into thinking that everything was okay, I think there's resentment about that, and there will be a backlash. I don't think after COVID and so on, and we're just reopening and that sort of thing, that the people would have preferred a general election, but they would prefer that to this kind of deception that we have, and this, and it's really a governance issue, you know. You obviously can't govern properly in an environment like that. So I think they prefer if the country settles down to good governance, as opposed to all this subterfuge and backroom dealing and wrangling. Nobody, that's not an environment to build a country, right? And it was interesting to hear Sean Richards say that, well, at the time, they had basically similar views that the country was going in the wrong direction. Well, I would really have liked to have pressed him on that. What exactly was that wrong direction? Because I suspect it would have been, again, about governance issues. And having been in government for 7 years, and those issues still have not been addressed, well, that does not speak very well of him and his party, which is the major, the major part of the coalition, right? And it's also interesting that, you see, I don't see a pathway, even after general elections, for the Prime Minister to get an next term, right? He has deceived and betrayed too many people, right? And nobody's going to trust him now, okay? And so, and I think even Sean Richards alluded to that when basically he's saying that, well, he left the Labour Party in the clip that you played. He left the Labour Party under a cloud, and so looking back, you know, he should have anticipated that Leopard doesn't change its spots, and Dr. Harris would be pretty much the same. And actually, in the convention last Saturday, you know, Dr. Harris himself said, I can't change now, basically. Okay? And so he should have expected that. Right? So I think, as much as the people may not particularly have liked it, they prefer to see all of this behind them, and it would be interesting to see what happens if all of them decide to run a full slate of candidates. If 3 parties decide to run a full slate of candidates, because that is what it seems. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah.
Yeah, that is what it seems to be tending towards. Okay, and I think that saying that, I've heard some people saying, well, that would facilitate the Labour's return to office, and can't afford that. I don't know what they mean by that. In a country, you must have alternatives to government. You can't have what they want. This unity arrangement, with all its problems and so on, to be governing the country forever, can't happen. All right? I'm not saying that there can't be a different unity setup. As a matter of fact, I would have preferred a genuine government of national unity, which include all the parties. Okay? You can't have a coalition of parties and then call themselves a government of national unity. That is not a government of national unity. When you basically ignore the representatives of nearly almost a half of the country, So a government of national unity would be the best outcome, but what it would comprise of would be the big question.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you, caller. Let's head back to the phone lines and take some more calls. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First, I want to thank God for the Federation of Cricket Music. Thank God for Team Unity. Because Team Unity raised me up politically and educate me more to politics and know what politicians are. That is what Unity has done to me. And I will say this to Brother Devon. We elect a unity government. It was going out for 2014, 2016 coming up. And the people get that. And we got to go to England to get that government. Because of how the political system was here set up. And we know that the Palmer regime was in. You could not get them move. It seems to me that the electorate could not get them move. Even though they want them move. Because of how the political system was set up. Anyway, we got to go to England because Benji was now the change in his local election, and it could not happen. And we got to go to England, and we results from England. The election got to keep on the whole boundary until whenever. And we get a government of unity with 3 political parties in. Dr. Harris is the leader in the bank. The next election, 2020, we have to get an next seat because we have agreement, because sure what was done, because we know that. We could never move back to Douglas regime that was there. And I said we elect a unity government. And we let 3 political parties and 3 different sides of the defense. And we let a candidate in your constituency to perform for you and to represent you. And we elect the candidate to have their leadership. When we term up, we think about leadership. We think about leadership. And we are going to necessarily an alternative because the people see the performance of Dr. Harris. I already come here and she said what she got to say about the 3 terms that are further and the people went with it. And the opposition went with it too. But the people of Sun, Christian, Labour, NRP, and PLP. See the capable leader under the leadership of that guy. And everybody was saying 3 terms. Up to now, that guy come out and tell the country that he can serve 3 terms. You understand? That's why that applies to the PLP, the People Leaders Party, and that's why it's going to election. And if that one want to run all the people and all the people, if he succeeds and he win the election, he win 14 dollars further. And Tom win 3 seats, and with the system. And that's why before he wants the leadership. You understand? Well, he said that if you want it, because you got more seats. If Tom win 4 seats, and then he said they want the leadership, and that's why he's win 4 seats. And so if you see, if not leaving me more seats in me as the chief, all the political parties, the military federation. And he said he wants the leadership. Not we got the leadership.
All right, caller. We'll take some more calls. So. All right. Well, thank you so much, caller, for your contribution.
The people them they gone, saying they want Dr. Harris with the 3 terms. This man come up and say he wants the 3 terms.
All right. Thank you so much, caller, for your contribution to this program. Let's hit this other call. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon.
You see where the problem is? Because you hear what he said? You see the performance of Dr. Harris. And that is the problem. This is 3 party come together. But everyone want to make it so that the other people in the party is irrelevant. Like Mr. Harris make all the decisions and he's in a government unto himself. That is the problem. Because you see the performance of Dr. Harris. Wait, isn't other people into this party? Is Dr. Harris alone making all the decisions? If that's the case, the others need to come out and tell us if it's a Dr. Harris alone making all the decisions. Because they stop making the other people like they're irrelevant. Because they are relevant. And that is the problem. I don't understand this thing. But, again, I'm going to say I'm not surprised. Have a good day.
All right, caller. Thank you so much for your contribution. We're still taking your calls here on Voices on 1FM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. We're winding down. We'll end this program at 1:30, but we want to take some more calls to get your take on the developments within Team Unity. We're heading back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon again, Devon.
Good afternoon.
Enjoy your afternoon after this. Now, I agree with the last caller, we have been so indoctrinated. All the way back on Bratcher. It's Bratcher. Do this, Bratcher, do that. And so we make it sound as if only one person. And if the agreement was that he would take 2, for the people themselves to go and say he must take 3, they are working against the same one they're trying to promote. I, for one, believe that Dr. Harris should have come out after that thing and made it clear. Now, he said, well, he didn't say it. Of course he didn't say it. But he has people saying it for him.
Mm-hmm. But stick up in. Let me ask you this, though. So, we know that the arrangement within Team Unity was no leader would serve more than 2 terms, right? So,
right.
Dr. Harris...
Dr. Harris.
Yes, right. So, Dr. Harris... Hold on. So, Dr. Harris becoming Prime Minister, the agreement was that he would not serve a 3rd term within the Team Unity construct. Now, let's just say that he is seeking to become Prime Minister after the next general election on his own People's Labour Party ticket. What is the... Because I'm really trying to get an understanding of
the probability.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get an understanding of all of this which is going on. Now, if PLP is looking to field the candidates in all of the constituencies because they want Dr. Harris to be the Prime Minister after the next general election, then the response from PAM should be the same. Field candidates in the constituencies because you want Sean Richards to be Prime Minister.
All of them going to the 3 years. Because unless Dr. Harris goes for his full term, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can't happen. It can't happen because remember right now he only has 2 seats. And even there they were doing roll call. His strength in none of the other seats is strong enough to outweigh Labour and PAM. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
So, and the people in Labour are more likely to go with him. So it will be a PAM and a Labour. I want them saying that Labour. I don't think so. The bad memories of Labour are too fresh. And Dr. Douglas has not removed himself. In fact, today he's going to be on the radio.
I think he's going to talk about his 33 years as a parliamentarian.
I want him to take out the 5. Let me tell you all, he do 133. He should not have been.
But we're not going there. We're not going there. We're sticking on topic. No. We're not going there. We're staying here. We're talking about what's happening within Team Unity.
He should have been in Parliament. Why from 33 28?
We're not going there, Carla. We're sticking we're sticking about what's happening within Team Unity.
Again, I say, it is the people. So you can't. So what people are saying, oh, Dr. Harris is not trustworthy. It's the people. If you know, that is why saying it is so corrupt. If you know that the man already agreed to go 2, why are you pushing him to go 3? You're saying, change. You see, a lot of us like free.
But
many believe the longer you stay, the more they get.
Mm-hmm. But let me ask you this though: if you have, because the parties that make up Team Unity, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I could give an explanation. They're independent parties. So if CCM decides that they want to do something in the interest of CCM, they should be able to do that. Same for PAM, same for PLP. So if
inside of the Unity.
So
inside the Unity.
But that is what I'm trying to get at.
That's what I'm asking you.
Let me finish. Let me finish. I'm trying to get at that. So does the signing of the agreement or the Chancellor Accord, does that restrict PAM, CCM and PLP from deciding that they want to expand their party? So does the Chancellor Accord say, well, PAM, you can't run no more candidates, or PLP, you can't run no more candidates on Syncits? That's what I'm really trying to get at. If PAM decides that they want to, run their candidates in more run candidates in more constituencies, and PLP decides they want to do that, should they say no because we signed the Charleston Accord?
They should say no. That was the agreement going in. You see, we got to learn to be honest. You see, this is why people are deceived, because you're going to say one thing and then come with an excuse. If it was that was already agreed, that PAM would not run in 7 and in was 2, right? 7 and 2, because that's where Kanda was. It was agreed before they went in. We find an excuse to break our vows and our word. So who can you trust? Because it is the people who are saying, oh, well, the people. When he spoke, I'm sure he meant what he said, but the people keep... Well, go ahead.
Yeah, and I follow you, and I understand what you're saying. No, if PAM and PLP decide that they are going to run candidates in all of the constituencies, that strongly suggests that the unity will be no more, because that goes against the document that they signed prior to assuming office in 2015.
If Dr. Harris decides to run more than 2, right? Then you can't say you have a unity.
No.
As simple as that. You want to longer on the bush now. If we agree, look, you can run in these 2 and we would not oppose you, because remember in 2 towards PAM and Labour. It meant that the PAM people now are asked to support PLP. Isn't that so?
Right.
Because they could stay home, you know. They could stay home, right?
Yes.
But they were encouraged to go out and vote for PLP because we are all a part of unity.
But let me ask you this before you go, though. With all of this, now you mentioned, the the bad memories of the past administration, the Labour administration, with what is going on now, this political spat between the partners of Team Unity. If an election for St. Kitts and Nevis is to be called now, what do you think the outcome would be?
The Labour Party is not going to win. Because let's go back to the same thing.
Yeah, but what do you think? Who do you think will be the next Prime Minister? I guess that should have been the question.
Well, you have to ask God that.
Mm.
Because if people who said that they agree with the man taking two and now asking that to take three, anything could happen.
Mm.
But, I mean, people trying to vindicate Dr. Douglas. He was the offender, you know. He was the one. I hear someone talking about, people don't want to go back to the old days. I mean, there are some people who did not get enough, want back more.
Mm-hmm.
I have said before, and they're planning to run all candidates. You're going to send in the cricket team that got beat up to win?
They're planning to do what?
Candidates who went in already. They're going to get again. We either need a third party or you need all new candidates.
A third party? We already have a third party.
Which one?
PLP in the third party.
Well, a fourth one then.
Lord,
we need one. To counteract the Labour Party.
I don't think so. You don't get PLP, PAM, and Labour. What more you want? You're trying to kill people in the St. Kitts and Nevis and all this thing, man.
Putting up the same set of people who get licks last time.
Mm-hmm. Well, Carla, you have to end this call with you. We want to take some more calls before we close off.
Okay, look, the majority of the people don't want an election. No. People already broke. People talking about Corona. This is not the time for election. I don't care who wants it.
All right. Thank you, Carla, so much for your contribution. We're going to take some more calls. We have 3-4 minutes left. So please call quickly and give your take on what's transpiring within Team Unity. Is an election needed to fix this? Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air. Okay, we lost that caller. Call us back at 466-0989 and 762-0989. Those are the numbers to participate in today's program. There was a comment on the live stream that says, good afternoon, they should go back to the polls. None of them trust each other. Okay. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius again.
Yes.
Now, there are candidates, even in the Team Unity construct, who would have lost election about 2 times in a row, and they're now elected. So the idea of because someone would have lost before, they should go and sit down, I don't subscribe to that. I think that at the time when they would have lost, probably wasn't their time. Try again.
Yeah.
Just like if you're riding a bike, learning to ride a bike for the first time, and you fall. Because you fall that once, you must say you're not going to try again. How would you learn? And how would you perfect the art of riding the bike if you don't keep trying? You understand?
Right.
So that point, I will not subscribe to it at all.
All right.
Look at the president of the United States. How many times does he lost before he won? Huh?
I don't know the number.
Give people a chance. You have to give people a chance. Let them try.
Okay, caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, let's hit this other call. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon. I understand what the last caller was talking or was saying, but he talked about people who lost in the Team Unity, who lost like 2 times or whatever time. But let us remember, let's be honest, and even the Prime Minister, he was honest. Because all when he's touting that there's some of them that got elected, and it is because of me, giving the impression that because he walked the old road why Mr. Grant was elected. I'm not going to be afraid to talk. Let us remember that Mr. Grant was robbed of his seat So don't get the impression like it's only because you walk that he was elected. No. Be honest and tell the truth. Y'all had robbed that man of his seat several times. Stop it. And Jonelle was robbed one time too. Have a good day.
Okay, caller, thank you so much for your contribution. We want to take one more call before we wrap up the discussion for today. You're listening to Voices, and I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. It's been a good conversation that we had today, and thank you so much for your participation. Let's take one more call at 466-0989 and 762-0989. We have our last caller. Let's take this one. Caller, good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon, Mr. Colin here.
Good afternoon.
Right. Now, I want to make an observation here.
Sure.
Because it seems as though that people are still in denial, having delusions about this whole team unity business. It is clear from the mouths of the leaders of two of the coalition parties that things ain't working out.
Precisely.
This is not something that people are saying or a hearsay. As Mr. Politics suggests, is naysayers. It is coming from the mouth of the leaders. You hear?
Yes.
So they can no longer accuse Labour people or naysayers of trying to mash up team unity. Mr. Deputy Prime Minister was on two separate regional media houses. He ain't come to you. He went to Freedom. He went to ZIZ. To tell the people of Antigua that Dr. Harris got a week to get his act together, otherwise they're going to take action against him.
Yes.
Who said that? Nessayer or the leader of PAM?
He said.
Good. He went on another media house, I think it's in Grenada.
In Grenada, yes.
Right. To let the people of Grenada know that he ain't gone Parliament for 2 months now. Mr. Cornelius, before you heard that broadcast, did you know?
I heard about it, but it wasn't being confirmed.
It was not confirmed.
Yes,
There
I was
no
really
issuance of
shocked.
any press release, anything from either PAM or from his office as the Deputy Prime Minister to inform the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that he is either boycotting cabinet or he has recused himself from cabinet until his name is clear in the whole grant matter.
Which is concerning.
No kind of communication whatsoever. So where is the respect for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis? Where is the respect for the media houses in St. Kitts and Nevis that we have to hear it down in Grenada and over in Antigua?
But you know, I wanna put in this quickly before you go. I saw something on a particular news page on Facebook with a picture suggesting that the cabinet before last, right, that the Deputy Prime Minister was there. So all along, we had the we had the notion that, well, cabinet is functioning well, the Deputy Prime Minister is there, etc., etc. Only to hear that for the past 2 months he has not been to cabinet. I'm sorry, but to be honest, that is concerning.
It is concerning, and instead people put their hands to the plow and ask these people a question. They're coming back with this red herring about Dr. Douglas and the Labour Party of old. If you ask any one of them, be specific about what you think Dr. Douglas did or where the country was going wrong at the time. Because as far as I'm concerned, based on the international standards, we were number one. But they were allowed to continue with the rah-rah and the propaganda, and people bought into it. Douglas warned them about this thing, warned them about Dr. Harris. If he could have done that to Labour, what he not do with Pam we done abuse for 18 years? Mark Bradley said he ain't getting his fair share. Ain't nobody else says so, and he says so. Timothy Kumakan say he lie, I give him 400 million. Mark Kumakan say, boy, you have to go Parliament to that. Sean say he stand with CCM. So this is not no hearsay. And of them say the thing now work, he mash up.
Yeah, it's clear.
Mash up. And unless these two parties say, look, Dr. Harris, you ain't working in with favor, and what we agree to, motion of confidence. They ain't saying nothing.
No.
Not a thing.
I'm of the same view. I mean, all of this back and forth and what's supposed to happen here, what's supposed to happen there is unnecessary. If you're not in agreement, then call it a day.
Call it a day. But you see, all of them love the position that they're in right now. So this is just rancor to rile up people in St. Kitts and Nevis and get them all emotional. Get the conversation going, get the spotlight going. But in the meantime, our business as a country and our people is not being attended to. Dr. Timothy Harris outmaneuvered them both. So now you hear what he's saying? Well, if the people say they want me, wow, must do not go back again. So you word no mean nothing. The Deputy Prime Minister called him greedy, deceptive, disingenuous. And he said, no me, and you. I didn't say it. And people still holding on to the immunity. You know, work. Where is the direction we think is a Nevis going? You have a clear, articulate direction. That's how he's trying to point it out in his convention. Up to now, Sean can't tell you that if he's going to be Prime Minister today or tomorrow, what direction he's going to take St. Kitts and Nevis in. And if he can't so much as to inform the people of St. Kitts and Nevis that he ain't gone cabinet for 2 months, you really want somebody like that as Prime Minister? These are just some questions I'm asking. Look at how he's handling this thing right now. But suppose the country really do get in a bind, how is he going to handle it as the next Prime Minister? Dr. Harris outshine them in terms of strategy, maneuver, and presentation. So his plan is coming together nicely. So unless they move against him with a motion of confidence, we just hear rah-rahing for nothing.
Well, the Deputy Prime Minister said he intends to have talks with the Prime Minister along with the Premier. So let's see.
We gave him a week tomorrow at Thursday.
All right.
Let's have a good day.
Okay, you did take care, man. Thank you so much for your contribution to this program. So, guys, we'll be following these developments very closely. Again, the whole team unity, it's based on the comments that have been made. All is not well. Everything is not good, and as you would say locally, mash up. You understand? But we will be monitoring these developments very closely, and we will try to keep you up to date. But of course, you guys are very well aware of what is happening as it relates to team unity in the country, and is for us to left to see what is going to happen. The Deputy Prime Minister said he has contacted the Prime Minister and he wants to have a meeting with him along with the Premier for them to see if they can get this thing resolved. I don't know. Maybe it could happen, but I don't see this thing fixing. It's like it would take a miracle. It would really, really, really take a miracle for all of this to be fixed and for us to move forward. Guys, you're out of time. 7 minutes over the time. We're going to have to wrap up today's discussion here on Voices. Thank you so much for your participation. It was a very good program. But please stick and stay to Win FM 98.9. We are going to have Voices on Friday. So please join us at 1:30. And of course, stick and stay for the other programs coming up. Until next time, you guys stay safe and have a good one.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.